Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Jenny. I'm from JennyCardDesigns. Thanks so much for joining me today. My YouTube channel contains content that is intended to share paper crafting tutorials and inspiration with all of you. I hope that you enjoy. In today's video, I've got a brand new template tutorial project for a mini slimline policy style envelope. This template will be included in all books going forward as of September 5th. Now, if you've purchased my template books before, you'll find a link in the description box down below where you can purchase the add-on download for this template and the previous template I released last week. Now, please note there is no purchase necessary in order to create the project that I'm going to make here today. You can always write down the measurements and create your own template book. So, that's always an option. You don't have to purchase anything. And I walk you through all the steps to create these beautiful handmade envelopes. All right, so let's jump into today's project. So I'm going to start with a 12 by 12 sheet of cardstock. And I'm just going to peel off this top little branding strip here, and I'll just use my bone folder. It's perforated, so it should just pop off if I just kind of fold it back and forth. Okay, so I'm going to grab my trimmer and I'm going to cut this piece down so that I create an envelope and a card front out of this one sheet of 12 by 12 cardstock. So I'm going to grab my trimmer and I'm going to cut this piece down to 8.5 inches. Okay, and then I'm going to rotate the cardstock and I'm going to cut this at 9.5 inches. So this will give me one sheet of cardstock that measures 8.5 inches by 9.5 inches. And you'll have two pieces of cardstock left over for scraps. And you can use this for decorating card bases and such. All right, so let's take this over to the scoreboard and we're going to create this large piece of cardstock into an envelope. Starting on the 8.5 inch side, I'm going to score my first score mark at 2 inches. And then I'm going to score my second score mark at 6 inches. And then I'm just going to flip the cardstock over and score those lines on the back. Because this is scrapbook paper, we might get some cracking, so I'm just trying to avoid that. So I'll flip it over one more time and go back and score. Okay, so those are nice and scored good. And then I'm going to rotate the cardstock one turn to the left. I'm going to score at 1 inch. And then I'm going to score at 8 inches. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to flip it over one more time. And I'm going to score again 1 inches and 8 inches. And then flip it back over one more time. And we'll score those score marks again. So this is really going to help prevent any cracking and things in this type of cardstock. All right, so let's move this scoreboard out of the way and we're going to start making some cuts. So following along the template reference guide, we're cutting off those 4 corners in step number 3. And I like to combine step number 3 and step number 4, which are the angle cuts. I like to combine those together just for, the sake of saving time. Once you start making these types of envelopes, you'll get more comfortable with it. If you need to start off just doing them one step at a time, then that's totally fine. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and score all of my creased areas to make sure that we get nice, good folds and no cracking and everything looks good. And I think by scoring on the front and the back of this paper, we prevent all of that. Okay, so you'll notice on this policy style slimline envelope, there's a larger flap. And the purpose of this larger flap is where we're going to add adhesive to the edge to seal up the envelope essentially. So we're going to add a little bit of, you can use liquid glue here or double-sided tape and just apply it right to the edge of the larger piece and fold it over to the other side. Okay, and now this little tiny piece on the bottom, we're going to add adhesive there as well, and we're going to close up the bottom of this envelope and peel off the release paper. I like the double-sided tape because sometimes I find my glue gets messy and I kind of glue my envelopes shut. So I'm not a fan of gluing my envelopes shut after I've worked so hard on them. So I normally have a little circle punch that I like to punch a little finger notch in, and I can't find it. So I've decided just to use my tape roll and draw a little half circle or tip of a circle and just use my scissors to trim it out. So it kind of gives us like this little sort of notch where we can slip the card in and out and kind of looks cute and finished. I really like that. Okay, next I'm going to round the corners on my envelope. This is step number 5 on the template reference guide. You don't have to do this, but I just think it gives it a finished look. My corner rounder has just about bit the dust. I need a new one. So I'm just going to keep using this until I find another one. All right, so I'm going to add some double-sided tape to the flap of this envelope, but I'm not going to peel the release paper because I need to put my card in there. So I've got a Slimline card base here. This measures 3.5 inches by 6.5 inches, and I'm going to make a very simple card using that leftover scrap cardstock that we used from making this envelope. Okay, so I'm just going to take a piece of that and adhere it down to this card. I like showing that little bit of white space because we have this pattern really all over the envelope. I want to show a little bit of white as well. It just makes it look more of a sophisticated and clean look. So I'll just trim off any excess, and then I'm going to adhere this down to the center of my card base, and I'll get that lined up. I'm just eyeballing it, making sure there's the same amount of space at the top and bottom, making sure there's the same amount of white space at the top and bottom of this card. And then I'm going to grab some of my gold foil peel-offs, and I'm just going to, you could use a strip of cardstock here, or any sort of embellishment that you have, border dies, things like that. I just wanted to create, a little bit of interest and add a little bit of shine to this card. So I'm just using those peel-off stickers, and I'm going to go ahead and adhere one of these to my envelope as well. So everything ties together nicely, and the envelope gets a little bit of a flash to it as well. Okay, looks good. And I'm going to grab a die. This is the Concord 9th Everyday Sayings dies. You'll find it in the description box down below. And I'm going to cut this out 4 times. And I just run it through my Gemini Junior die cutting machine. And I'm just using a white cardstock here. And this high word has some really nice stitching on it. I like the detail. So I'm going to stack 4 of these die cuts on top of each other, making sure they're nice and straight. And it'll give us a nice substantial chipboard style feel, and it gives some nice raised dimension. I think it looks really pretty. So I'm going to glue that right down to my card base. And then for the last simple touch, I'm going to add some of these cute little pearls. So these are just a bunch of different size pearls that I picked up from Michael's. Super cute. And that's it. This card project is complete. Super simple and easy, nothing complicated about it at all, but we have a really beautiful result. So that's it for this card project. So I hope that you liked the tutorial for the Jen-Velope policy style mini slimline template. This has been a long time coming. I've had this template sitting around forever, and I just never really got around to it, and I just didn't feel a need. But all of a sudden I've been making mini slimline cards, and I don't really like the envelope that I had before. So I like this one, and I hope that you do too. If you're interested in my template book, you'll find a link in the description box down below. The template book that I've designed is full of card project ideas for envelopes, cards, boxes, layers, and so much more. So that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to spend it here with me. I appreciate the support as always. Coming up on screen are a couple of videos I think you may enjoy, including my all-time most famous series that my channel has ever created, the Chop It Up series. You should check that out. There's all kinds of fun projects to do with stuff that you have in your craft room already. The best part about it is you don't have to buy anything else. Okay, thanks so much for joining me. Have yourself a lovely day, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!